Hello, everyone. Very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all my students to our online Jolly Phonic class. I'm very excited and thrilled to have each one of you in our today's session. So, welcome once again. And today is our day 4 of our 5-day masterclass. We all understood that Jolly Phonics is one of the methods that we use in our preschools and also in the elementary schools, which helps not only the teachers and parents to help them teach their children the sounds, which helps them benefit into reading and writing, but it also helps us to organize the letter sounds into multiple groups. In day 1, we saw that the entire curriculum being broken down into 10 steps. In day 2, we started understanding that there are different methods, and out of which we chose Jollyphonic method. We also understood that there are 42 sounds. We wrote them sequentially. From there is where we derived onto grouping all of them into 7 groups. Each of the group had 6 letter sounds. This was according to Sarah and Liu, right? So they were the two educators who actually helped us to actually work on these speech sounds. We also got an understanding between phonology and phonetics and how are they so different compared to our phonics. Yesterday, we got deep dived into learning Jolly Phonics. We started with group 1, group 2, and group 3 individual letters. We learned about drilling down into the procedure. What was our procedure? Every letter has a letter. We need to teach the child how to form a letter, and every letter is associated with a sound, and every sound is associated with an action. So in Jollyphonic, we also started introducing conceptions to children by stories and sing-alongs, right? So these were some of the added on features which we actually saw in this entire curriculum. So we learned about our set 1, that is our group 1, group 2, and group 3 sounds. So what were our group 1 sounds? We had the letters S, A, T, P, I, N. This was the first set or the first group which was introduced to children. So I consider this as the initial set of sounds which can be introduced to beginners or the children who are beginning to learn the jolly phonetic methods. So children, what they are taught in classes, when you're introducing this group 1, you have to teach them the sounds of all these letters. Before that, the child should also know the name of the letter. Once the child is thorough with all the 6 letter sounds, you can teach them how to blend to form simple words. Simple words, we saw the entire word family. Words out of that combinations could be sat, SAT, tap. So you can give more number of words for them to practice. So what was the rule? Every time that you gave them the dictation, if the child was unable to write the word, we could help them decode with the actions. For example, sit. The child was unable to write, you go E, right? So this was in our group 1. Just to reinforce the letter sounds, the first sound is S, E, and So this covered our 6 sounds. From there, we moved on to our group 2. Now, group 2 had the following letters: C, K, E, H, R, M, and D. They made the following sounds for C, for K, F for E, for H, R for R, M for M, D for D, right? So this was the second set of sounds that we introduced to our children. Now here, we also learned some of the rules when we had the letter C and K. So we understood when to use the letter C. So when it is followed by vowel O, A and U, you use the letter C. When it is followed by I and E, we use the letter K. And after that, when the K sound is heard at the end of the word, we write CK together, right? So from there, we moved on to our group 3. Now in group 3, children had more letters which involved vowels and consonants. We had the letter G, G, A, L, and D. right? So these were some of the sounds. Now here in our group 2 and group 3, you can mark down. For letter C and K, you can mark. And for letter G in group 3, you can mark, because these are little important for us, because when it comes down to spellings and rules of it, you will see that in our spelling rules. Okay. So this was the first thing. So what Sarah said was like, for the beginners, we introduced till step 3. That is till group 3. So this is our step 1. So once we are okay with it and the child is okay learning the step 1 of these 3 groups, that means the child had confidence to phonetic skills. The child started having confidence in reading and writing. This program also had many songs. Every letter was associated with action. We also had a lot of activities to make sure that the learning process was enjoyable to all our children. And the same thing, it happened in our yesterday's class also. Even we thoroughly enjoyed how every letter was associated with an action, and we started blending each one of them, right? So this was our group 3. From there, we moved on to something called as our group 4, right? So our group 4, the first or the following letters were introduced. So we have the following letters in our group 4. So what are they? A, I, J, O, A, I, E, 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 and O, R. So when I have the first letter combination of A and I, that means when I have my vowel A and when I have my vowel I, when these two are combined together, they make one sound. And what is that sound? It is A. It is not a new sound. Is A new sound? It is not a new sound. It makes the long vowel sound. So that means it is not a diphthong. It can be a vowel digraph. So AI is a vowel digraph. So when a vowel and a vowel is combined together, I can get the long vowel sound. Or I can put it under a rule. When there are two vowels being together, the first one does the talking and the second one is quiet. When it is talking, it always takes up the long vowel sound or its name. So AI makes the sound A. And what was the action? We started cupping our hand over our ear and we said A. We also saw that there was a story when the child had the ear pain. When the mother took the baby to the doctor checked that there was so much of wax. When they removed, there was no pain. So the child did not say A anymore. Jolly Phonic also supported this activity through sing-alongs. So what was the song? The song said, my ear hurt, I was in pain. My ear hurt, I was in pain. What did you try to say? So you can sing along this song to the child. You can give a worksheet as a coloring so that the child starts to reinforce learning. We also gave more words to children so that they would be able to work on it. For example, when I have a word like this, when I give them a word like this, how many sounds are together? See, I have color coded my A and I together. So that means AI is read together. So it is making one sound. So when I break the word into multiple phonemes or when I syllabicate the word, how many sounds do I get? What is my beginning sound of this word? It's then what's the second sound? A. And the third sound? So when I blend them together, it's pale. What is this? S, A, So that's my sail. Next, read the other one. So it's like, what is the sound of R? You got to hold the rag with your teeth and you say R, A, So when you combine them together, that becomes rail. Now try to read this. It's T, A, Tail. Lovely. Now try to read this word. Mm, A, Male. What about this? So it's like jelly, right? So you can either wobble the jelly this way or you can do this way. Okay, so you can say J, A, Jail. Pain, A, fly, fly an airplane. Rain, A, rain. So you can do more number of words from this family. It's going to be amazing, and it's going to help our children to actually work on all these sounds. From here, what you can always work is like, if at all, if you want to reinforce a little bit more conceptions to children, you can also follow this activity by comprehension. See how your learning is becoming complex. Now, I also said that every time that we are introducing words, we also introduce sight words, isn't it? So from here onwards, in our step 4, after our step 1, once the family CVC words are all done, I slowly start to begin to introduce the sight words. Now, sight words could be high frequency words which can reappear in my story time. Right? Now, what is my aim in this exercise? The first aim for me is, when the teacher is reading the story, the child is expected to listen quietly. The story goes, Zale the snail. Zale the snail was very sad as she felt very plain. She got an idea in her brain and tried to paint the shell with paint. She felt happy again. She began to dance in the rain. There are two aims in this exercise. The first aim for me is to identify, are there any words with A? Are there any word with A? Definitely yes. So let's do a word hunt. So I have the following words: Zale, snail, plain, rain, paint, right? Again, rain. So
Again.
that means the child also learned new words. Now, what about my other words? The, was, very, as, she, these are all sight words which can reappear. So, more stories, if you start giving, the child becomes confident enough to start reading. Are there any action words? Yes. We have sad, we have happy. Do we have emotions? Yes, we felt happy. We started dancing, right? So we have action words over here. So you can also introduce grammar to children. When I say grammar, it is all about function of words, or we can say parts of speech. So whenever you are introducing comprehension to children, always make sure we have nouns. What is a noun? Name of a person, name of an animal, name of a thing, name of a place, right? And they all get a capital letter. We can also introduce, when a sentence ends, you have to keep a period. That's a full stop. When you want to pause your sentence, you can put a comma. So when there is comma, the child will have to pause. So these are all some of the punctuation rules that you have to follow. So reading comprehensions for every stories from now on, you need to follow this. I'm doing only for one of the word family, but one of the letter and the letter sound, but you need to follow this for every letter sound in Jollyphonic also. Okay. Now I completed this activity. The second thing is like to make sure whether the child has understood the story or not. So what you do a question and answer. This is for the cognitive ability. So you question the child. Zale the dash was very sad. Now the child cannot remember. So what do? You give a copy story, or you give a copy control of the story. You ask the child to go back again to the story and see where that sentence is. Now the child says, yes, ma'am, it is snail. So what is your exercise working on? You are not worried about teaching the sentence, but you're worried about making sure that the child is able to identify and find the answer in the passage or in the paragraph. And they start writing on the lines. So your focus is on helping the child to find the find the word from the paragraph. Second thing, they are going to reinforce the learning ability of A sound. And the third thing, the child is writing in the lines. Clear? So we can do multiple questions. Zale felt very plain. Third question, she tried to paint shell with paint. She began to dance in rain. That is something that we can always look for. So this is our first sound that we saw yesterday. And now what was the next sound that we saw? The next sound that we saw was related to our letter. Letter what? letter? Come on, tell me what's the next sound?
J.
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 And what's the sound of my letter J? The sound of my letter J is J, right? So we could also see this particular thing. But before we go to J, we also had seen that this AI has some of the alternative spellings, isn't it? So did we see that it also has some of the alternative spellings? What are those alternative spellings?
Yes, ma'am.
So yes,
AY.
yes, lovely. You all remember. But the sound is going to be the same. The action is going to be the same. The sound is also going to be your long vowel sound. But we also understood AI is not a diphthong. It is a digraph because vowel can be a diphthong when it makes a new sound. But it is making a sound. So it is not new. A we have already heard as a long vowel, right? So that becomes my vowel digraph. So it makes two other alternative spellings. That is my A hyphen E. So when I put a hyphen, those digraphs are called split digraphs. Please note, when I put A hyphen E, those digraphs are called split digraphs. Why do I say them as a split digraph? Because two of these consonants have been split by a consonant in between. Correct? So AY is also together and that also makes the sound AI. So when we have words like this, how should the child read? The first sound is, second sound is, what is the second sound? A. So what's my action? I do this. A. And then the third sound? Third sound. Not K. What's the third sound? You fly a kite, right? So that's the first sound was castanets. The
Kite.
sound was A, and the third sound was fly a kite. So that was my K. So when I blend them together, I read it as cake, right? So I go again and I go read it as cake. So here I can also apply the same rule. So when I have two vowels, the first one does the talking. So some of the schools, they also teach this A-he, that is the split digraph combination as magic E rule also. What is magic E? Whenever you have a letter E at the end of the word, the letter E gives all its magical power to the first vowel. But the rule also says in between you should have only one consonant. That means there's only a thin wall, thin consonant. I can't have double consonants there because then if I have double consonant, the E can't hop over for a very longer jump. So it can't give its magical power. So sometimes, see, for example, when I have a word like latte, 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 if I give you this, it is still as la. It is not late, right? Why it is still got the sound is because the E cannot transfer its magical power over double consonant double T. Now come on, syllabicate this. It's L. What's the second sound? Not A. A, long sound. It's A. And the third,
Kite. Sorry.
very good. Now do for this. So it's, what's the first sound? Second sound? A. Third sound? So that's my fame. Okay, so you can form for the same exercises. You can do it for more number of words and you can ask the children to work on these exercises. Now, the second digraph which I have for the same combination is A and Y being together. Like when I have words like this, the first sound is D. And then A, Y combination is again my A. So A. So what do? I put a dash because they are together. So the child should learn that I have to learn. So before we introduce this conceptual, you can also tell to children when I have two letters being together and when it is one sound, I put a dash. So the child should start learning, okay, wherever the teacher is putting a dash, I have to combine all of them and they make one sound. Okay, so dots and dashes are very, very important conceptual for the children to understand. So you do this. Now, what is this? Can you decode it? It is A, say. Next, A, may. Try the next one. Mhm. Okay. If I would have introduced consonant blends, I don't go individually into and r. I say pr. So I have to put a dash for P and R. But since I have not introduced the beginning consonant blends, so this is a what combination? Is it C C we C word? Is it a consonant, a vowel consonant word? C C V C. Can you see here? P is a
Yes, ma'am.
consonant. R is a
Yes, ma'am.
consonant. A is a vowel. Y is a consonant. So this is C C V C. So that means C and C is a consonant blend. So I can put a dash once I introduce the blends to children. But since I have not introduced the concept of blends, I'm still dividing them, or I'm still breaking that sound also into and r. Okay, so that becomes my prey. So you can give more number of words for children to actually work with this. So now what you do in your class, you make a big poster and you say that AI is a long sound and it has two alternative spellings. That's my AY and a split digraph A-E. So this covers our first sound in our group 4. Then the second sound what we learned was our letter J. So that is like related to our J sound itself. Now what's the third sound that we're going to be working on? Can somebody read what is our
Ma'am,
third sound?
hi Divya ma'am.
Yes,
Divya
yes,
ma'am, Kirti
yes.
here. Uh, I have one doubt. So, is there any rule that A dash E that we have to make put C or K whenever we get K sound? Like if we take an example of cake, CAKE, so the K, if the kids don't know whether they have to write C or K, so is it a standard rule that we have to write only K or like that? How we can teach
No,
them?
no, no. See, my rule is only A hyphen he. Okay, so that
Uh-huh.
means it is a split digraph. So
Yeah,
while
yeah.
the vowel, this is a vowel, right? So
Yes.
between two vowels, if I have a consonant, that's my split digraph.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, under this combination, I can have anything. Say, for example, I can have a word this also. So
Yes.
this is my
Right.
consonant, right? So I can have
Uh-huh.
this also. So I can have bake, cake. Then what else I could have? Not only this, I can have
Yeah.
come,
Yes.
right? So this consonant can be anything.
Yeah, yeah. We can write anything. My doubt is like how to teach when to write C, when to write K.
This is what we did yesterday. You remember C and K? When can you write? So you write C only when there is O, A, and U. Do I have, look at the vowel here. My vowel is E. So that means when I have my vowel E
Yeah,
and
yeah. Right,
I,
right. Sorry, sorry. Yes, ma'am.
yeah. So this is what it has. So
Yeah,
even
yeah.
when
I
the
understood now. Yeah.
yes. So that will be one thing. See, over a period, you have to keep reinforcing. Sometimes children also forget just like us. So they might also not know. So we have
But
to always keep
mm-hmm.
reinforcing the rules, whatever you taught them. Okay. So that gives us for the alternative spellings. What's the next jolly phonic sound? Can somebody tell me?
Oh, ma'am.
O.
Oh, yeah.
O and E together.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
So
Oh,
now tell me, O and A, is it a digraph or is it a diphthong?
digraph.
Digraph, ma'am.
Why is it a digraph?
Because it has only
Two
one
vowels
sound. Long
together.
vowel
Because
sound.
it's got a long
Two
vowel sound.
vowels, but only one sound.
So one sound. No, it has a sound,
Yes.
but that sound is not
No.
new. We know the
No.
sound. It's a
Only one.
long
No.
vowel sound, right? It is not a
No.
new sound. So it is still a digraph itself for me. So that's my third sound that I actually have it, right? Now, what was the action that we all did? We actually put our hand onto our mouth and we said, oh, oh. And we had vowel O and vowel A joining together, making a long vowel sound. So this was the action wherein we brought our hand up to our mouth as if we saw something went really wrong. So in this exercise, what went wrong? The oak tree fell on a goat. Can you see that? You have to exaggerate the situation. You have to say it to children also. Children see the oak tree has fallen on the goat. Oh, what a sad situation, right? Let's go and help. So we also had a story which actually we did about. And there is also a song. And song says about like, oh, did you see the billy goat? Oh, 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 oh. Oh, did you see the billy goat under the old oak tree? Every time you say oh, it's like with expression is what you got to say that. And what else we started working with? We started reading the OA together, and we started making the action as O. Now try to do this with action. So it's as if the water were gurgling. So it's like G, O, very good. Read the next one. Click the castanets. O, lovely. Soak. O, lovely. Let's do the next one. Yeah. O. But later, when I introduce my final blends, S and T will be introduced as T. Okay? So when I'm introducing my blends, I don't go with individual dots. I don't read them as one sound, but I read them together as one sound. T or T. Okay, so 3 sounds only, this word can be broken. So anytime that you are asking the child to break the word into multiple phonemes, this is a process of phonology. So phonology is one such study wherein we find how many sounds are there in any given word. So in this word, how many sounds are there? 3 sounds. Or, right? So 3 sounds are there. What next we encourage our children to do? You ask them to work on the letter formation. So what do? We do a air tracing. Everybody put your pointer finger up. We do an air tracing. So start with the letter O, starting from here, from above. Then what about my A? Start the caterpillar letter and a line with a curve. So this was both of the letters O and A were considered to be my caterpillar letters. And you have to be working towards initiating the letter formations. So you can also give children the color worksheet. You can also reinforce the words that you actually have it in your classes. Now, what about further learning? O also has alternative spellings, right? So what are the
Yes, ma'am.
alternative spellings? It has got a split digraph combination of O and E. It has OE together and OW. So these are the 3 ways that we can represent the long O sound. Now, when I take the first example of my digraph, the split digraph. Now see, can you see here? What is in between O and N, O and E? I have a
N.
consonant. What consonant is there?
N.
Don't say letter name. Say N. So we have N there. So how do I work on my sounds? So the first sound is B, not B. B. Synthesize. B. What's my second sound? Oh. Good. Third sound? Lovely. Do the next word. It's a consonant, so it's a blend. So I'm reading it as one sound. St. Okay, if you don't know, then you can go st. Then O, and then we fly an airplane. Stone. Read the next one. How many sounds? 3 sounds. O, stone. Read the next one. B, O, bone. Read the next one. O, home. Now, let's do the second combination. Now, when I have my second combination, that's my OE together. Wherever I have OE together, they also make up my long vowel sounds. This is my second alternative spelling. Words like this: toe, toe, o, toe. Next, I have do, o, do. Try to do this.
Oh.
Okay, the third combination. So do more words. Okay, so I'm giving you very less number of words. But what was the beauty here? Every time that we did words, We also saw that previously learned letters and the letter sounds were also coming. So what as teachers and parents we got to do is, if your child has not learned or picked up a sound that you introduced today, don't worry. We have more words coming up. We're going to be having more words coming up. We're going to redo all these lessons over and again. So the same sounds can keep coming. So keep revising every day with many number of words, but be systematic and at the same time, progressively you have to do. The third combination or the alternative spelling that I have for my long O is with the combination of O, W. So when I have O, W also, what is my action? I say oh, right? So words like this, pillow. Now there are two things that you have to observe in this word. What are they? Do we see L and L? This word has L and L. So it has a double consonant also. So when I'm working with breaking them into multiple sounds, I don't say together I say one time and that becomes my So when I'm introducing these concepts for the first time to the child, I can mark it with a different color. So the first sound goes like, the second sound is E. What's the third sound? It's not E. It is both the L's together. It is So it's E, and then oh, pillow. See, it's so easy for us to actually work. This is phonology. So you're working on the patterns of the sound. Now see the spellings, we're changing. O-W, we heard the same sound O, right? O-E, we heard the same sound O. O-E, a split digraph, we heard the same sound O. So this is the concept of phonology, wherein you're working on the study of sound patterns. Okay, so let's do the next word, follow. It's o, follow. Do the next one with actions. Fellow. O, fellow. Do this one. Oh, snow. But when you introduce consonant blends, it becomes two sounds. Sna, oh, sna, oh. Read this one. S, oh, slow. When I do my blends, it is sla, oh, two syllables. Okay, give children to write. This is very, very important for us to actually rephrase writing. The more you work on the oral, the same time you have to also teach them to write. So you can also follow joint writing. So you can introduce cursive writing because they are together. So whenever two letters are together, it's good time that you also introduce cursive writing. But if you don't want to introduce and if you want to follow the print format, you can go introducing this way. So once I'm done this, I again have to do a worksheet where I can give them to color. I give them a lot of words where the child goes and understands and identifies where are all my letter spellings for my O sound. Okay, so that is our next or that sound of O and A together with the introductory words and at the same time the alternative spellings that we actually have it. So what's our next sound? Do we have our next sound? It's I and E together, right? So when we have I and E together, is it my digraph or is it my diphthong?
Digraph.
I.
Diphthong.
Again, a consonant.
Diphthong.
It's again a vowel digraph. So when you have your vowel I and vowel E together, they make up the sound I. Okay, so what do you see here? Do you see a flashcard there? Do you see an action? So it's the sailor's uniform. And what is the sailor trying to do? He's trying to salute, right? So when every time you do this saluting, you say I, I, I. So this is your action that we would be following. So we see I and E together. And that's the fourth sound of our jolly phonic group 4. So what do we do here? When I have my vowel I and E together, does it make a short vowel or a long vowel sound? A long vowel sound. So what is the action? You ask children to stand up. You ask them to stand in attention position. And then you ask them to salute and they would say I. Okay, so we don't sit and do this. So when you're introducing this in your classes, you will encourage your children to stand up. You have to ask them to stand in an attention and then they do the saluting. Okay, so this becomes your I.
I.
If we do multiple times, it's I, because it's a new sound that we learn. And this is the vowel digraph. Now, what is the story that I have it for this is, now just imagine there was a fancy dress party and the child was wanting to participate in this fancy dress. Okay, so what do you think that the child was fascinated about? The child was so fascinated about being a sailor. So the child goes to the mother and asks, can I dress up as a sailor? And then the mother or the father says, yes, you can. The child goes to the fancy dress party by dressing himself or herself in a sailor suit. Okay, when he or she wears that suit, the child was so happy. The child was standing in front of the mirror. He stood in attention position. He couldn't take off his eyes because he was looking so smart and he was looking so, what I could say, handsome. And he started saluting and he said, I and I, right? You know, so it's like I. So that was the action and that was your jolly phonic sound. Sorry, the story. So do we have a tune? Do we have a sing-along? Yes. The sing-along was very simple. It said like the captain said, I. The captain said, I. Stand up straight, don't be late. Captain said, I. Okay. So this was the song that we use in our classes. So this is the action also when you start singing. So you have to work with the action only when there is sound mentioned. We can't use the action when we are trying to sing the other words. Like, you know, the captain said, I. The captain said, I. Stand up straight, don't be late. The captain said, I. Okay, only then you start saluting. So that's our jolly phonic sing-along. Now I have combination of words now. So when we have words, we can start working with it. So the words goes this way. So try to decode it with the jolly phonic actions. What's the first sound? What's the second sound? I. Pie. Lovely. Do the next one. T. Next. I. Wonderful. Now read. I. Lie. Lovely, Tulsi. Now start writing. Okay. So this helps the child to work. So how do we write? We take our pointer finger up. We do an air tracing. So you take a straight line down with a gentle curve. Put a dot. Then you do a roundabout for your letter E and you take a curve and you come down. So you teach the children the formation of the letters I, E together. We do a worksheet. But does this have alternative spellings? Yes, please note down in our further phonics. So when our children are in Mont 3, when children are in UKG, or when they're about to go to your first standard, you can also introduce that we have alternative spellings which makes the long I sound. I sound. So what is it? I have my split digraph which has a combination of I-E. That makes I sound. I would have my letter Y in some of the words making the I sound. When I have a combination of I-G-H, it makes the sound I. Okay, so these are the three alternative sounds, alternative spellings for the same I. That is a long vowel sound. Now let's start taking the first one. The first combination is our?
I.
Is it, what digraph is it? Split.
Split diagram.
Split diagram. Okay. So always remember when I have an hyphen, you have to say it's a split digraph. Now I take this word. See, it is split by which consonant here?
K.
Don't say the letter names, okay? So this is our stage 4, right? So we don't say the letter names. we only, as much as possible, we try to work with our letter sounds. So we make the, what's the sound? It's, now go with the first sound. What's the first sound? Sound.
I.
The third sound. See, unless you don't practice, you don't get it. So I want everybody to do the actions. Everybody do the actions. See, you don't have to write now. I'll give you anyways the recording. You can make notes. Try to make actions because you will become more perfect into it. Okay. So relax and make the actions. Now do this.
I.
Mike. Read this one. It's
I.
I. Lovely. Do the next word. Now we'll go with the combinations of Y. Okay. Can they make I sound? Yes. So whenever the Y is at the end of my short words, when my Y is at the end of the short words, Y doesn't make the sound of Y, but Y makes the sound I. Read the word. My. So it's M, I. We don't say Y here. We say I. My. Try to read this. It's
Try.
I. Try. Fry. I. Fry. But later, for these two words, I can put them under one sound. I. Right? I. Right. After introducing the blend conceptuals. Now this can also become I. So I will not have a sign. I will not have an action for CR together. I will not have action because I have already learnt about it. If the child does not know the spelling of then the teacher asks them divide the into k and r. Right? So that's when we actually do. So this is our cry. So the last thing, so I can mark this as a rule. So in English, we have this rule regarding the use of Y as a vowel. So from here, you tell to children that Y is also very special because that becomes your sixth vowel. So sometimes Y can be represented as a vowel in any single words. So in any single sounded words, short words only. Okay, so this rule applies for short words itself. We also say that whenever you hear the sound I at the end, I is too shy to be there. So that's the reason the strong Y comes and takes its place. So you can make it like a little bit more in a dramatic way. So when the I sound is heard at the end of the word, I is too shy to take up its place. So that's the reason the strong Y comes and takes its place. And you can say that becomes your long I sound also. Further, you can have more words, spy, try, my, fly, sky. Use all these words. Okay. Now the last combination is my IGH. Think about the words that we can actually have. Think about the words that we can actually have for this combination. Okay, the first word.
Sight might.
Sight, might.
Sight might.
Height.
Okay, lovely. Okay, so let's
Right.
begin with the first one. So I have my beginning sound. And IGH is one, right? So I have to take that as my IGH is one sound. So that becomes my one sound so that I say I. So let's do the next word. So it's
I.
three sounds for this word.
I.
Night. Lovely. This word
I.
tight. Now I have a consonant blend. If I am not introduced a consonant, it's your individual sounds. I light. Okay. So do more complex words. Delight, tonight, insight, bright, height, sight. So you can always give more complex words. So even when we give such big words, now what do you think that the children will be able to decode?
Yes.
Yes, everyone?
Yes.
Children will be able to decode the words?
Yes.
Are you confident that they would try?
Yes.
So it's like, the first word could be the, I, Right. They might be able to make three combinations or four combinations of the letters and they can have the entire word, right? So that's the next word. So that was for our AI. Okay, so that completes our AI vowel sound. So let's go to the next sound. It is represented together. Can somebody say me what's our next sound in our group 4? It's B and double O together. Sorry, double E and OR together. So when we have this combination, we always show to children the flashcard. So both these are done together. Yes. So when I have my EE, that is EE, is it a vowel? Sorry, is it a diphthong or is it a digraph?
Digraph.
What sound it makes? Long sound. What is the sound? E. OR, the R is not heard very prominently. We say R. We say R. The R should not be heard prominently. Okay. We don't say or. When I say or, the R is heard, right? You say R. Okay. So this is the pronunciation that we do. So what's the action? What's the action? So when I have my E and E joining together, okay, we all have to pretend to be a donkey. Okay, so this is going to be really good. So I'm going to stop share. I'm going to put all of us into gallery mode. It's going to be literally fun. So if you're on video mode, you can turn on your video. So yes, we pretend to be as donkeys. So what do we do when we bray? How do we bray? We do E, or, E, or, E, or, E, or. So E, you have to put your palms literally high. So as if the donkey's ears are literally here. And then when I'm braying, I go this way. So that's how we introduce this in our classes to our children. What a fun way and a lovely way to introduce this conceptual to children, right? So they would definitely enjoy, and we know we also do that. So this is our action that we represent. So we pretend to be a donkey, and every time we do braying, right? So donkey brays. So we say E or E or. That's the sound of this letter. So how's my story? The story is very simple. The donkey lives in the field. So some children take carrots and they offer it to the donkey. And now what do you think that the donkey would feel like? Is he overwhelmed? Is he happy? He's very happy. And he sprays out of joy and he's like, E-R, 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 he's so happy. So that's the story that we actually have. So what we do here is like, every time you give the story card to the child, you have to find out, are there any pictures which is related to these sounds? Do we have any pictures? Tree. I have a picture there, right? So I have another tree. So I have two trees. So that has got EE sound, right? Now, take a look, carrot. So it doesn't have anything, but it sounds or, right? But let's see if at all if we will be able to decode any more words from this particular story. Now, we also have a sing-along to ensure that the child is recognizing the separate sounds. We ask the child to pretend, right? With their hands as if they were the donkey's ears. And when the hands were straight, we said E, and when the hands or the palms were down, bent down, we said or. So the child was able to differentiate the differences. So you have to literally go slow when you're trying to pretend. You say E or, E or. See the donkey in its stall, E or, E or. See the donkey in its stall, is its call, right? So this becomes my jolly phonics sing-along that I can sing to my children. I show the flashcard at the beginning. So the flashcard has got the picture of a donkey and the little boy or a girl putting their hands up and palms down, bend down to show the gesture. Now it was time to make some words. Okay, now what do we do here? It's B, E. Very good. So that's B, S, E, C, E, tree. E, tree. Do the next one. It's E, feet. Okay. Now, do we have any other alternative spelling for E? Yes. So wherever you see EA spelling, EA is also written with the same letter sound. You all agree on this? So this is my alternative spelling. So I put that under further phonics. So when I see EA also, I do the same action. Okay. So words like this. Say for example, peace. It's E. So EA also, you have to, no, not down, Hamza ma'am, up. So it's E. It's not or. Okay. Now words like this. So it's castanets. E, green. Yeah. E, dream. Now check this. This is a trigraph. This is a trigraph, right? So three letters together, STR. These are initial blends of a trigraph. So STR together can be one sound, str. But now I'm going individually. So I say E, stream. The more you do, the more you practice. So you practice children to write with EE and OR together. You can also give an activity sheet for them. And now you go to your OR words. So when I go for my OR words, what's my action for OR? My palm should be bent down, right? So it is OR, four, lovely. Or, fawn. Next, do this. Or, storm. Last one. Okay, I think we're done with that. So again, practice more words. And we have more words for this. Okay. So alternative spellings for my OR combination is 3 more spellings. You have the spelling of A and U together, making the same sound O. See, we can't hear. Now, did you understand why I said not to introduce the R sound?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, did you introduce? We don't have the R sound. So it's O. It's O. Now, words like August. So it's AU. So we don't say O. We say August. So what's this? How do we do that? It's O.
O.
O. Right? So that way. So autumn. So it's again O. Autumn. The second alternative spelling for the same sound O is AW. Words like jaw, words like drawn, words like shawl, words like raw. Take any words, jaw. So it's j, o. Lovely. When I take shawl, or when I take raw, so it's r, o. Now, when I have words with the spellings AL, AL also sounds O, wherein my L is silent. Okay, my L is silent. We don't say talk. We say talk, talk. So T, O, talk. Walk, W, O. Chalk, ch, O. Ball, B, O. Ball. Okay, so this becomes my further phonics. Now tell me how many sounds that we have. For EE, we have an alternative spelling, EA. For OR, we have alternative spellings 3. That is AU, AW, AL. Clear? So that covers our 4th group. Okay, so congratulations, we covered our group 4. Now we step forward to our group 5. So is there Is everything clear in our group 4? So it's all those sounds. A-I, J-I-E, then O-A, E-E, O-R. They make up our group 4 sounds. Let's move to our group 5. Before we get into our group 5, a quick hand exercises. Everybody, put your pencils down. I know you're writing since a very long time. Okay, so rub your palms. Rub your palms. It's a very, very lazy afternoon. Rub your palms, rub your palms. Okay, try to stretch your fingers little slowly. Okay, so that every finger is getting stimulated. Every finger is getting stimulated. Okay, we do this. We do that. Yes, keep doing on a count of 10. Count of 10. Count of 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, we moved a little bit more. Yeah. Next, try to tap your fingers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Change. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, now shoot up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Rotate it. The other hand. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so again, rub it. Go back a little. Go back a little. Shoulders straight. Stretch your arms in the front. Okay, so you stretch your arms. You say thumbs up. You cross your arms. You open your fingers. You turn them. You clasp it. You rotate it. Get it closer to your chest. And say you are the best. Okay, so I love myself. And you can give yourself a kiss. So that's called a brain kiss and a brain hug. So we did that because you are all doing amazing, doing so much of learning, taking so much of information, writing so much of notes, right? So it's all required. So that was our group 4. So let's get started with group 5. Desperately, we all needed that break, isn't it? We were writing so continuously. I'm seeing everyone making so much of notes. Lovely. Okay. So let's do our group 5. So let's take up for our group 5. So in our group 5, what are the different words that we do have? So in group 5, we have the following letter sounds. We have the letter starting with our Z, then the letter W, letters NG, letter V, letter OO and OO. So we can say this is little O and long O. Okay. So now when I take up my first letter sound, so that's my letter Z. So Z makes the sound S. Everybody repeat after me. Z makes the sound S. Second letter we have is W. W makes the sound W. There's a lot of difference between V and W. So look at my facial expression. We say W, as if you're blowing out the wind. Okay, so you have to blow out your wind. So when you say watch, you have to say watch. When you say was, you don't say was. You don't open your mouth like that. You say was or wave, right? So violence. So you actually bite up your lip there when you are using letter V. So there's so much of difference in the Wasim, your facial expression. So how do you pronounce the letter W? Wa. Wonderful. Now the next combination, when I have my N and G, this is a consonant and a consonant together. So it's a consonant blend. They make up one sound and the sound is called ng. What is it? Ng. The sound right. Action we'll learn later. So it's ng. Now when I have my letter V, the sound is v. Shweta, I caught you. It's not wa. Okay, it's okay. So that's the reason I want everybody to put your videos on so I can watch you and I can see all your expressions. So we don't say wa. Now did you see? W says wah.
Wa.
V says mm.
Mm.
Not,
Mm.
yeah, everybody, yeah. Get it right. Mm. That's our
Mm.
letter V, and the V says mm. Lovely.
Mm.
Let's move to the next one so that I have my
Mm.
OO, right? So OO makes two sounds. I have a little oo. That is OO, which is not in bold. So that's a short sound. We say oo. That's
Oh.
little oo. Okay, so we say oo.
Oh.
And when I have a long sound, I say oo.
Ooh.
So how do I pronounce it together? Ooh, ooh.
Ooh. Ooh.
Yes,
Oh,
ooh,
yeah.
ooh makes my
Ooh. Ooh.
little ooh and the long ooh sounds. So now we're going to learn all this
Mm.
letter sounds in our group 5. The first letter for me for today, I'm going to be picking up in this group 5 is letter Z. We all know the sound of the letter Z is Z. But what is the action? You have to pretend yourself to be a bee. Okay, so you have to hold yourself like this. Your elbows are in and your hands are flapping, right? Your hands are flapping and you just go like a bee, like this. And you say zzz. Everybody together. We go like a bee and we say zzz. Okay, so that's the action. So we have to keep our elbows in and our hands are flapping. When we are moving around, every time we are flapping our hands, we say zzz, as if we are a bee. Okay, so that's our action. So for the flashcard, you can show the bee flashcard to the child to work with that. So you can also put that into your classes. And along with that, you put the letter Z also. Now, what do I do here when I'm actually working is I know the action. So we're all pretending to be bees and we are keeping our elbows in, we are flapping our arms up, and we are saying the sounds. But what about the song? The song is like, you can always go this. Did you ever hear a bee buzz? A bee buzz, a bee buzz. Did you ever hear a bee buzz? Zzz, like this. So that's how you can actually sing along your Jolly Phonic song to reinforce the sound. Do I have a story for this? Definitely, yes, I do have a story. I think I missed a story over here. We do have a story in our Jollyphonic also for the letter Z. So, what is the letter Z story when I'm talking? So, since it is related to my bee and other thing, so bees were flying around in the garden and they were like, jumping or they were hopping from one flower to another flower. And every time they were flying, they were making this sound. So that's the reason we see so many bees around. Okay, so that's my story that I give it for my children. So what does the teacher do next? The teacher teaches the children how to form the letter Z. So everybody take your pointer up. You go the formation. So you do your straight sleeping line, then a slant, then again another sleeping line in a zigzag way, right? So this helps me to work on my tracing part. So I can do air tracing and then I can do a paper tracing also. Start with the first word. Is it a double consonant, Z and Z together? It's a double consonant. So how many sounds it makes? One sound. What is the sound? Z, right? So how do I break them? So the first beginning sound, Priya, it is B. Then I have A, and then I have Z, as if the bee is flying. So that's my buzz. Try working with this. So it's Z, and then oo. Okay, so it's zoo. So it's a long sound. So we will see this later. Okay, when I have oo oo, is it a short oo or is it a long oo? We will see it later. But the words is zoo. Well, look into this one. So I have z, e. So zip. The next one, I give them activity. I ask the children to find out, do we have more words? Let them do coloring. They can do an art activity and all of that. Try to rework a little bit more on giving more words. Let them figure out if they see that letter Z. Ask children to get some newspapers or magazines to class. Today is our letter hen Z. Ask them to find out. So you can give them a marker or a sketch pen, a piece of paper you can cut. One sheet of paper, you can make it into multiple pieces. Let the child circle wherever they see the letter Z. So that can be like a letter hunt that you do it because it's for the letter Z. You can always work on it. The second sound in my group is my letter W. And W makes the sound W. And the flashcard that I give it or show it to my child is as if the wind is blowing out some air. See, the cloud itself is blowing out the air. So that's the card or the flashcard that I show it to children. What is the action that I do? So I first open my hands like this. I put it right under my jaw and I blow to my hands. Okay, so I blow onto my open hands just like a wind. And I say, "Wah, wah." Okay, so when I say wah, the H also is heard. Okay, so it's like WH. Okay, the H is also heard. Right, Lavanya. You're doing it right way. Okay, so that's how you do. Okay, so children would cup their hands to blow onto their hands and they say wah. Okay, so that becomes my action. So we have all heard about this Aesop's fable, right? It's very, very famous. The name of the story is The Wind and the Sun. How many of you have heard the story? We would have all read it and when we were kids. We would have read this. It's a very famous one. So, do you see a man there with the blue coat? Can everybody see? Can you see a person there with the blue coat in the story, in the picture? Yes, no? You can nod your head. Yes?
Yes,
You
ma'am.
see a person, right?
Yes,
So, this
ma'am.
man is wearing a coat. So, there was a fight between the wind and the sun in this
Yes,
story.
ma'am.
The Aesop's
Ma'am.
story. The sun was saying, Wind,
Who
you know,
was
I'm very
powerful?
stronger. And the wind said to the sun, Mr. Sun, I am very strong.
Who can take off the coat?
Yes. And they both had this competition, like, let's see who is so stronger. Let's see if the man takes off his coat or not. So, what
Yes,
did the
ma'am.
wind do? The west wind said, I am very stronger. I will make the man take
Yes.
off his coat.
Yeah, ma'am.
What did the wind do?
Blow.
It started blowing more and more. Okay, so but what do
Yes,
you
ma'am.
think that the man would do? The more the
Ma'am,
wind started to blowing,
pull
the
it
man
up.
was holding onto his
Pull
coat
it. Yes,
very
ma'am.
tightly,
Yes,
very
ma'am.
tightly. The wind tried and tried, and then it was time for the sun to come in. The sun
Mhm.
said, "Okay, now your turn is done. It's my turn." So, what do you think
Yes,
that the
ma'am.
sun would do? The sun
Brighter and
becomes
brighter.
even more brighter. When he becomes more brighter, he becomes more hotter.
Hot,
Now the
feeling hot and open the coat.
Yes, feels really hot and he takes off his coat. Now, who won? The sun won.
Sun.
Right? Sun won. So, we can't say that who is stronger. Everybody has their own ability. So, this is what we can teach to children in moral stories and, in these kinds of tales. Like each one is good with one or the other. Wind is also important, sun is also important. When
Yes,
something is too much, it's very bad. Even the wind can't be blowing so hardly, even the sun can't shine so brighter. It has to
yes,
be
ma'am.
moderate, right? So we
Balance.
teach to children also, everybody is good, everybody is sometimes got the bad abilities. But what we need to do is like we need to find out how better that we can be so that we don't hurt anyone. Okay, so that goes as the moral of the story. And we see this in our Jolly Phonic story also. And we also sing to our children. We say, I see the clouds moving, and they say, wah, wah, wah. I see the clouds flying, wah, wah, wah. I see the trees bending, wah, wah, wah. The wind is blowing strong, right? So that was my sing along that we do. And when I give them, see, as soon as I'm done with that, I start off with my words. We don't wait. Let the child get with the words, right? Let them try to decode the words. So how do we do that? That's eh, wet. Next one, west winds. So it's like
Yeah.
s-
Yes.
west. Next one,
Mm.
w
W,
e,
E, E, D.
wind. Next, s, w e,
F, E,
n,
E, G.
right? So that's swing. So we do a letter formation. Again, it's a zigzag writing. The children start, you do an air tracing. So everybody put your pointer up. We do an air tracing. We start with a slanting line. Then you go up. Then you come down slanting. Then again you go up. See, you have to give instructions to children because they forget sometimes to write. When you talk, very minimal and to the instructional wise, it becomes easy for a child to also remember. You say, write W, the child does not know. You can always see not a straight line, but a slanting line. So is it right slanting, left slanting? You can teach to the child later. Okay, you can always do that. It's a right slanting, then you go up, again a right slanting, then you go up, right? So it helps the children to develop on their muscular memory. The more you write, the muscle memory does develop. So writing is the only thing wherein the memory is reversed, right? So whatever your hand writes, that is what your memory is retained with. Your brain remembers what you write. It is not that what your brain remembers you write. No, it's the muscle memory. How you introduce the letters, the same way your memory or the brain remembers it and it signals to you. So that's the reason handwriting is given so much of importance. And we always say that a person's personality can be known, it can be notified, can be assessed, can be seen to your handwriting. When we are in good mood, we write better. When we are in bad mood, we scribble. So you can make out the emotions, the feelings, the well-being of a person just by seeing the writing of a person. So that's the reason it's very important that we as teachers and parents, we also teach the children how to form the letters in the rightful way. So that becomes one of our responsibility also in educating the young minds in the rightful way. Okay, so we might not be there each day to teach, we might not be there each day to encourage, but every day, whatever is the piece of information that you're getting, you need to adapt it somewhere. You go back to your home, you work with your child in the same way. You go back to school, you work with your children in the same way. Ultimately, who is getting benefited? It is the children of the younger generation. So that they do not struggle when they're like 6 years and 7 years to write. So this is a social cost that you have to do it in a very service oriented. So don't think that it is your 9 to 5 job. It is your responsibility. There is a lot of difference between you doing job and you taking the responsibility to do that job. So when we are responsible individuals and you have taken up an oath saying that I am going to do this for my child, you better be responsible for that, right? And you do it very genuinely. So we got to be really genuine when we are doing this service with young children. So we can't teach. So anything that is taught wrong at the early years, it stays for a very longer period in mind. You might think it's difficult. How can a child learn the letter F? It's okay, they might take time, but you teach the right way, taking a curve up like a hook and come down. He might not write today. Maybe after 15 days he would write, but he got the direction. Taking a hook, going up, and then coming down. So that's how you make the first line. And then putting a straight line onto it. The child will learn. So when teacher and the parent has that thing in mind, how difficult is it? Can my child write? Can my child identify? The same thing is what you're transferring into your child's subconscious mind also. My mother said it's very tough. My father said it's very tough. My teacher said it's very tough. So maybe it's tough. But for a child, everything is same because they don't know any letters. You're introducing it for the first time, right? So they learn it the same way. So that's the reason letter formations are very, very important for us. Whatever could be the way you introduce, but air tracing could be one way that we do it a little better. Activity sheet always must work with the activity sheets also. Now in further phonics, the w sound is also heard when we have the following combinations of W and H together. They also make the same sound, w. Words like this, white. See, it's w, I, t. So it's a split digraph. So w, then I and E. So I have to take it together because they are in between of my T. So w, I, very good. Whale. W,
Wa.
my A. What is my A? Yes, very good, Poonam. So it's like my W, A, U. For whip, W, I.
Okay.
So my wheel. Now let me try. Let me
Wa.
see. I'm going to do that. Yes. W,
Wa.
E.
I.
What is
E.
donkey ring?
I.
E.
E.
So that's my long. So it's like W,
E.
Mm.
I.
That's the
E.
reason we have to practice more words. Okay. See, when we get
E.
random words like this, it becomes easy. So
E.
do words, have a lot of combinational words. But we can also see the same sound in all our question words also. How many question words start with WH? It's easy. So introduce those words also. When, where, what, why, who, and which. Right?
Where?
Who, W is silent, but still we would introduce that also. Okay, so this becomes my further phonics or the alternative spelling for my W sound. The second sound or the third sound in this particular group is N and G being together. So what's the sound?
Mm.
What's the action? I want everybody to be like a bodybuilder. You pretend you're a bodybuilder, and whatever you have, it could be a pen or a any rod or a bottle. We try to do this exercise, right? So we try to do this lift ups, and we're all doing this bodybuilding. And what happens here? The child was so fascinated. The child was looking at the TV, and they also wanted to work. So the action for NG was we pretend to be a weightlifter and we're putting our arms so above our head and we say because it's so painful, right, when you're bringing it down. So it's like you're lifting it up and you're bringing that down. So they were watching TV. So some children were watching TV and there was weightlifting which was coming on the television, and children were like looking at them, and they could hear these weightlifters were making some strange faces and some noises were coming, and they were like kind of a thing. So they also started pretending. So they picked up the mops at the home. There was a rod. They also bought all of that. They used brooms. They were also pulling their faces and they said the sound so that's the story tell to our children in Jollyphonics. So what do we sing? If you're strong and you know it. So it's like the same tune. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're strong and you know it, say mm. If you're strong and you know it, say mm. If you're strong and you know it and you really want to show it, strong and you know it, say mm. Okay, so that's our sing along. So the tunes are also mentioned. So we can sing to the same tunes, right? So that's our NG. More important, writing. We do an air tracing. And after we do writing, you give words. Now try to do this. S, ng, ng. Sing, lovely. R, e, ng. Ring. Now, b, a, ng. Next we have tring. See, T-R-I is a trigraph. So, t, r, e, ng. Tring. So likewise, I can make strong, I can combine them together, and I can also give an activity sheet which goes according to it, right? So this is my NG, which is being together. Now the next letter sound that I have is my with letter V. So what's the sound? Huh? Uh-huh. What's the sound?
Drive the village.
Huh? Not the. So you got to put your lip in, okay? And you say, what is the image that you're seeing? We're seeing a vehicle, and especially it's a van. Whose van? It's Vic's van. So how do I pronounce van? I say van. How did you notice? My lip? Van. Whose van? Vic's van. Vic's van. Be very gentle. Don't crouch it too much. Van, van, van. Okay. When you say van, so that becomes WAN. That's the reason we ask the children to focus on our facial expressions, right? So we can always do. So if you have a mirror in your school, you can always show them how their facial expressions are. You can do this activity at your classes also. So you have to pretend as if you are driving. So everybody hold on to your steering wheel and you try to drive a vehicle and you say, so we pretend to drive along. So Uncle Vic arrived in his van and he asks if children wants to come with him. And children said yes, and everybody were picked up from the station. So he drove around the place and he started dropping every child at their houses. As he drove along the path, the children were making the sound. They were also driving the van. Okay. So it just goes like this. It's like, drive van round the village, drivix van round the village, drivix van round the
Rabbits.
village. Okay, so that's our song. And we do that and we write the letter. We do for slanting and then going up. That becomes our action. Sorry, that becomes our writing pattern. And when we start making the verse, it's like ah, bam. And when, it's like again, like,
Huh?
eh, make more words and you give more activity sheets for our children. And then the last two sounds were together. So we had the little oo and the long oo here. Now, what did the teacher show to the child? The teacher showed them the flashcard. Now, this is like an olden day cuckoo clock. We all had this when we were young kids. You remember? Every time that the clock was hitting 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, the cuckoo bird used to come outside and it used to say that many times. If it's one, it's like cuckoo. Then again, it will come many times and just say that oo sound, right? So this is
Yes.
what we use. So for little oo, we come forward. So the action is for the little sound, we come forward, we lean forward. For oo, we come forward. For oo, we go back. So this is oo, oo, oo. So this is like, as if the cuckoo is poking the head out of the clock, and as if the cuckoo is saying ooh, 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 ooh. The little ooh was ooh, the long ooh was ooh. Okay, so this is the last sound for today. So the story is some children are visiting a house and they were so excited to see a cuckoo clock on the wall. So it was 3 o'clock. So what happens? What happened when they are waiting to see something would happen now? So as soon as it was 3 o'clock, what happened? It striked. It striked, right? So 3 times the cuckoo popped in and popped out. And every time it did a pop in and a pop out, we could hear the sound ooh, 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 3 times. Correct? Because it was 3 o'clock. So that's the sound that you do. Ooh, ooh. Okay? Now take up words. Now when I have this, book. So it's b, ooh. So you go back. If it's a short sound, you go back. So, okay, look. Oh, look. Then hook. Oh, hook. Then for took. Oh, now long words. You come forward because it's long. You say ooh. And then moon. Ooh, soon. Ooh, shoot. We trace and then we do the activity. So for the phonics, both of them, they can be compressed. And little oo can be heard as U sound also. So wherever you have the letter U, so please note down, there is an alternative spelling for our little oo. So oo, the short oo, you also hear it when we have the U sound. Words like cuckoo, words like put, pull, pudding, they have the oo sound, cuckoo. It's not the sound or the u sound. It's got the oo sound. Now the long O has 3 sounds. One is a split digraph with the combination of U hyphen E. One is combined letter of U and E together. One is with E and W together. They all make the same sound oo, long oo. Let's see the first combination of this split digraph, U-E. Words like rude, ood, June, j, oo, flute, fl, oot, rule, oo, l. They make the same sound. Can you get that now? We don't say U and E as U, right? So that's there. See, this is how you will be working with my split digraph. So this is my long sound. What is the second thing? Can I have U and E together? Now, when I have my U and E together, they also make up a long sound oo. Okay, so like blue, clue, glue, true. See, we are hearing oo, oo. So UE can also make a long vowel sound oo. My third combination could be with EW together. When I have my EW together, they also make a long sound oo. Words like blue, you, flew, screw. We heard the oo sound. So these were alternative spellings of our letter OO. That is our long O. So that completes our group 5. So group 5 had what all the different sounds we had? Z, w, ng, v, u, oo. Right? These were the 6 sounds out of the 42 sounds that we had. And you can start working with more words like this. Now, these words can have combinations of all the letters. Okay, so you can always do that. If you don't want to do so many words in a day, for children, you can write. You can write as many words as possible with these combinations. Every day you try to do some 10 to 15 words for M3 or for grade 1 children who are finding it difficult in spellings. You can always have like new words you can actually bring. Let the children start to decode all of that. You can also play a dice game which helps the children to actually work. So this covers almost all our sounds in our group 5. So we completed step 1 and step 2. What is our step 1? Group 1, group 2, group 3 is our step 1. So my step 2 is my group 4 and group 5. So we have completed 2 steps of Jolly Phonic learning. So tomorrow we would do the other 2 and that completes our Jolly Phonic sounds of 42 sounds. So simultaneously, I was giving you alternative letter sounds. We also saw some of the phonetic rules that we actually had. So tomorrow we would start with, in one of our group 2 and group 3, we also had sounds like C. We also had a letter G, right? So we will see how the letter C, which was sounding k, becomes a soft sound S in some of the words. We would also see how the letter G, which was hard, is becoming soft as the sound J. We start with these 2 rules and then we further continue with our other groups. So that was for today. So on a quick 5 minutes note, I just wanted to quickly ask you all, what was your learning for today? A quick 5 minutes. Let's be very quick and spontaneous so I can spotlight each one of you. Yeah. What was one thing that excited you today? I need to know. I need to know because that gives me energy for my next day's class.
ಮ್ಯಾಮ್ ವಿ
Yes.
ಮತ್ತೆ ಡಬ್ಲ್ಯೂ ಅದು ಪ್ರೊನೌನ್ಸ್ ಹೇಗೆ ಅಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಿರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ, ಇವತ್ತು ಅದು ತಿಳ್ಕೊಂಡೆ ಮ್ಯಾಮ್.
ವಿ ಮತ್ತೆ
ಡಬ್ಲ್ಯೂ
ಅದು ತುಂಬಾ ಕನ್ಫ್ಯೂಸ್. ಸೊ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಅದು ಗೊತ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರಿ. Okay, so that is very nice. Lovely. So that was a major difficulty thing that we all have it. Yes. Two more. Kavya. Yes, Kavya.
Alternative words that you have given, ma'am.
Alternative spellings and the words which relate to our alternative spellings. Yes, that is useful, and that's the reason I have put it under further phonics. If your child is able to pick it up, you teach. If your child is unable to do that, don't do that. Finish off all the 42 sounds and then go back. Okay, so that will still be there. Why I have given you there is because you will still know for this we have these alternatives. So it goes as a essential learning. Okay, last one more. Yes, Poonam. Poonam? Yes, Poonam.
A vowel, like Y is also sometimes act like a 6th vowel. Yes, and when Y comes in last, the sound is I. So I is very shy to be let last. So that is new one I learned.
That is for very short words. Okay, so when Y is seen in short words, Y is too shy to take up the position. So that's why the strong Y comes and takes up the I position. Right? Yeah, that was something that we learned for today. Okay.
Ma'am, I'm having
Yes.
one doubt, ma'am.
Yes, dear. Tell me.
Doubt.
Yes, Kavya.
Say,
Kavya, we couldn't hear you.
ma'am, or like that. When you
Kavya,
use two
Kavya, your voice is
words,
not clear,
coffee and
Kavya.
tea, whether you have to say wo or or.
Or. On. The R is not controlled. Okay, we say or. We don't say r there. We say or. The R is like taken back a little.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee. For or.
The logical operator R, ma'am, she is telling R should be pronounced as R.
Or tea, we want coffee or tea, we are asking.
Operator.
Coffee
In
or
between.
tea. Okay, do you
In
want coffee
between.
or tea? Okay. So
Coffee.
there you
Yes.
say R. There you say R. O-R is
Yes.
or there. Coffee or tea. Do you want that? Okay. So in the words, yes, the pronunciation. So that's a little tricky. That is the
Yes.
reason we study about the patterns. We see the word can have multiple sounds. And Asha beautifully bought it on the same day itself. On the first day, she said, like, give me the difference of phonology. Phonology is this. It'll confuse you most of the time. So you have to identify where do I use these letters and their combinations, in what context is it making me what sound. Right? So we work on that. Okay. So language is tricky, but let's make it as easy as possible by working on this structure, which helps our children to work better. Okay. So yes, beautifully a spent evening with all of you. Thank you very much for joining, and I hope you all thoroughly enjoyed the session with me. So I'll see you tomorrow. So the last day of our training, and we would see the other letter sounds and some more rules. Okay. So take care. Have a great evening. Bye-bye. Loads of love. Take care, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.